Hello and welcome to the Grand Prix podcast! Woo! Welcome to our episode, The Driver Factory, how F1 talent is made from karts to contracts. The only thing is, I don't really want to talk about that today. All this anxiety-inducing breaking news about Christian Horner being sacked from Red Bull has got me in the mood for a nice, relaxing game of Monopoly with my best friends. Ooh. So, girlies, should we sack it off and have a game?
Yes! I love Monopoly.
She's been asking for months.
Yes!
Okay, let's do it. We're going to play Monopoly, but instead of buying properties, we're going to be following the journey of an aspiring F1 driver from their first go-kart to potentially landing that all-important F1 seat. Each roll of the dice will take us through a different stage of the F1 development pathway. We'll explore the costs, the timeline, and the brutal reality of what it takes to make it to the pinnacle of motorsport. So, Reem, before we let you start rolling, let's set the scene. Reaching the Formula 1 grid is hard. Very hard. There are 20 seats on the grid each year, and according to an investigation done by Planet F1, a young driver is staring down the barrel of at least £4.5 million by the time they reach the doorstep of F1. The harsh reality is that it could easily reach double that amount, but unfortunately, not everyone starts from the same place. We've got drivers like Lance Stroll, whose father Lawrence is worth £3.8 billion and literally owns the Aston Martin F1 team, and then we had Lewis Hamilton, whose dad Anthony worked 4 different jobs just to pay for karting. This is why the sport is known as a rich man's sport. So, if you're a young boy trying to get into the exciting world of F1, tell us, what is your name and what F1 team would you want to be driving for?
My name is Reem.
No, I'm not. You had literally one job. You're a young boy wanting to get into Formula 1, and this proverbial boy is going to be the character that we go through the timeline of getting to Formula 1 in this episode with.
Why can't it be a girl?
Oh, don't make it political. Shut up. Just say a boy.
Did I just make up a random name?
Yeah.
Tom.
No, you're not connected to that. I can tell.
George.
You're not connected. George Russell's already in the sport. Choose a different name.
I don't know. You
Jeremiah.
Oh, Jeremiah. What's his last name? Chorizo.
Oh.
Jeremiah Chorizo. Do you know, fun
it.
fact, I used to play the F1 game and my driver was called Bruno Chorizo.
Yes, oh my god, let's be Bruno Chorizo.
Okay,
I remember.
Bruno Chorizo.
Okay.
What F1 team are we excited to drive for in the future?
Ooh, Aston Martin.
Oh, Rogue. Okay, fine.
Why not?
Random, you're not going to get there. So a driver right there.
Okay, so we're starting at Go, which in our F1 development board represents the very beginning. Karting. This is where virtually every F1 driver starts their journey. So picture this, you're a 6-year-old kid, and your parents think you might have some talent. Maybe you're obsessed with cars, or maybe you just show some natural ability at a local karting centre. This is where your dreams begin, and also where financial reality hits. Even at this grassroots level, families are looking at substantial costs. We're talking about kart purchases, maintenance, fuel, entry fees, and travel to competitions. A competitive karting program can easily run into tens of thousands per year.
Oi, oi.
For example, Lewis Hamilton's dad Anthony famously worked 4 different jobs. He was a decorator, double glazing salesman, computer technician, and even put up scaffolding, just to fund Lewis's karting. The man literally mortgaged his future on his son's dreams.
I'm not being funny. If my child wanted to get into karting and I had to do 4 jobs, I don't have that many skills to do 4 jobs. How is my man doing a decorating, double glazing salesman, computer technician, and also scaffolding?
Hustling.
That's what I'm saying. I don't have the skills. Like, yapping and eating, that's all I
No, your
got.
children will be F1 drivers then.
No, there won't be. So many reasons.
Compare that to someone like Jack Doohan, who joined the F1 grid in 2025. His dad is 5-time motorcycle world champion Mick Doohan, and Jack grew up on the Gold Coast with Michael Schumacher as a neighbour. Talk about different starting points. Then there's the heartbreaking story of Esteban Ocon.
Who drives for Haas?
Mm-hmm. His family sold their house, lived in a caravan, and moved around Europe following racing series. His mum Laurent gave up her job to support his career, and they literally lived hand to mouth for years. The timeline here is crucial too. Most future F1 drivers start karting between ages of 6 to 8, and they'll typically spend 6 to 10 years in various karting categories before moving up. That's nearly a decade of commitment before they even reach the official F1 ladder.
Damn.
What's particularly challenging is that karting success doesn't guarantee anything. There are thousands of talented karters worldwide, but only a tiny fraction will ever make it to professional motorsport.
When you say karting, I imagine like in
Like
fun
Mario Kart.
fairs.
Oh.
No,
That's
like
a
fun.
dodgem.
That's Dodgems.
What's dodgem?
What you just described.
The one at fun fairs where you get in the car and
Yeah.
you drive into each other.
That's called a dodgem.
That's Dodgems, yeah.
or,
Is that
or a
called-
bumper car.
Or bumper
Yes,
cars,
bumper
yeah.
cars. That I know. Is that not karting?
No.
No, it's a bumper car, as you just described. What are you talking about?
But like, how serious is karting?
Sorry, you
Serious.
think that Red Bull representatives are going to a fun fair somewhere down in Essex and be like, he bumped into 4 people, let's take him.
You're saying they're like 6 or 7 years old when they're doing this. So
Yeah,
I mean,
you know,
how
like-
serious could it be?
Yeah, you know,
Very.
like, very serious. Like, you know, like Mario Kart?
Yeah,
Like the standard cart that Mario goes round in?
yeah.
That's what they're driving.
And they're kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For example, they might go to like a local karting venue and they'll start doing some karting and they'll be like, oh, I actually really like this. Or people there will say, your kid's really good at this. Do you want to join our karting team? And it will start off as local karting teams. They might win a competition there. Then they'll go on to a regional, national, and so forth.
But
Okay.
like the same way that in F1, like you can sustain damage to your car and it needs to go through engineering and you need to make pit stops to fuel and stuff like that. Like that happens in karting.
Damn. Okay,
You
so
have to
serious
wear-
sport.
Yeah, you have to wear legit helmets, a proper like shell suit and everything. It is very,
Yeah, I
very
would not
serious.
be putting my kids in karting.
And they have podiums and they have trophies and everything.
Oh, that's cute.
Oh, they get to make pretend superstar champions. How cute.
Yeah, look, I'm sorry. For viewers, I'm showing a picture of a of Activity Superstore that's offering £55 for 30 minutes of karting sessions. But that is what karting looks like.
Okay. Okay, now I get it.
Yeah.
So it's not bumper cars.
No. Many fun fairs around the country and the world are able to get Formula One drivers starting for just £2 a pop. You can be one too. Wait, what? Okay, let's roll and see what's next for Bruno Chorizo's journey. We've rolled a 6.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Chance card.
Ooh.
The chance card reads, Junior Academy spotted you. Advance to Formula 4.
Oh.
Very nice.
This is actually quite realistic. Academy programs run by teams across the grid can play a key role in developing young talent. This is a huge moment for Bruno Chorizo's career. Getting spotted by an F1 team's junior academy, whether it's Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes, McLaren, or any of the others, is like winning the lottery. It can completely change the trajectory of anyone's career. A perfect example of this is Kimi Antonelli, the new rookie Mercedes driver this year, who was spotted by a Mercedes talent scout when he was just 9 years old. His dad, Marco, owns AKM Motorsport, so he wasn't exactly poor, but Mercedes saw something special and fast-tracked him. But here is the thing. Even with Academy support, the costs don't disappear. Red Bull's Academy is famous for producing talent like Max Verstappen and Sebastian Vettel, but they also drop drivers rather ruthlessly. Just like Nick De Vries or Yuri Vips. 1 minute you're in and the next you're out. And after the news of Christian Horner this week, we know how true that really is. Nick De Vries is a perfect example of how brutal F1 can be. He followed the entire pathway. He won at Formula E, did well in endurance racing, got his F1 chance with AlphaTauri in 2023, now Racing Bulls, but was dropped after just 10 races when he struggled alongside his teammate Yuki Tsunoda and failed to score a single point. The pressure was immense, and he described feeling double pressure from media scrutiny and performance expectations. Another example is Yuri Vips. His F1 dreams ended in an instant when Red Bull terminated his contract in 2022 after he used a racial slur during a gaming livestream. One stupid mistake destroyed years of investment and pathway progress. He's now trying to rebuild his career in IndyCar, but that F1 door permanently closed.
That is his own
Ouch.
fault.
Yes, I didn't add this in because I feel sorry for him. I'm just giving you context. I'm happy the door is locked. There is a catch, however, as it can also take a driver off the market for potential suitors in future. But in many instances, as the cost of racing rises the further up the ladder a driver climbs, an association with a team's driver development programme can become a necessity. So, for our driver, in the script it says, insert Reem's chosen racing name here.
Bruno Chorizo.
Thank you, is now locked into an academy system. They might get financial support, but they've also tied to that team's decisions about their future, which can be a double-edged sword.
So the team support, that's like sponsorship, basically?
Yes.
Yeah.
So they give them all the money to be able to
Not
continue.
every cost is included with that.
Okay.
There will be certain things that the driver still has to cover.
Okay.
But in terms of being able to fund their seasons and all that sort of stuff, yes.
Okay.
And the support, but also they monitor and they're seeing them through every single step of that pathway.
So they're investing with someone who could potentially be their future
Yes.
driver.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly that. However, the political side of F1 is already kicking in. Success isn't just about being fast anymore, it's about being in the right place at the right time with the right people backing you. So, let's roll again and see where Bruno Chorizo lands.
Oh, would you look at that? We've rolled an 8, a 5 and a 3.
Lovely.
Shall we move?
Yes.
1,
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
And we have landed at Formula 4, the official starting point of the FIA single-seater pyramid.
Whoop, whoop.
The progression through the classes is reasonably well defined. Formula 4, Formula Regional, Formula 3 and Formula 2. This is where things get seriously expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Formula 4, or GB3, is £575,000.
Oh my god.
That's over $500,000 for just one season. But that's just the base cost. They don't include extras such as testing or travel. They also don't include any form of driver coach, physio or management, all of which come with a price tag and could easily add another 6 figures to the necessary budget.
Lewis Hamilton's father must have gotten some other form of sponsorship, right? Because even 4 jobs doesn't cover that.
He was a junior McLaren driver who's on their junior program.
Okay, so he would have gotten support from them.
Yeah.
And on top of that, his dad had to work 4 jobs.
Yeah, but that would have been for his karting career. So then
Okay.
that would have had to have been covered, yeah. But then as he got older and up the junior ranks, he would have got McLaren support. But on top of that, he most likely would have got some personal sponsorships with
Okay.
different companies and stuff.
So is that where like advertisement plays
Yeah.
in as well? Okay.
And instead of it being like a team sponsorship, like Ferrari have HP, for example, Lewis has like a personal relationship with like Lululemon, for example.
Okay.
So he would have probably had personal sponsorships like a lot of the drivers up and down the grid do.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now let's put this into perspective for our Grand Prixsters listening in. We're talking about a 15-year-old kid whose single season of racing costs more than most people's annual salary.
Yep.
It's more than all of our salaries combined.
I was going to say, Reem just emphasising the point.
Yes.
Yep.
Not
It's
even,
more than mine.
not even just saying like covers more than most people's salary is like too small.
Yeah.
It covers more than like
Most people
like
I
a
know's salary combined.
A whole department that has like 20 people in it that covers more than their salary.
Yeah.
And this is just the entry level of professional motorsport. The strategic element here is crucial. Those who have proved successful in recent years have typically competed in multiple Formula 4 competitions. So we're not just talking about one £575,000 season. Many drivers do multiple F4 championships. Time pressure is also a factor. To reach F1, a driver must have met the criteria for an FIA super license, making the 3 years leading up to their 19th birthday crucial as they seek to amass the necessary 40 points to qualify them to race in motorsport's top tier.
Do you understand why they have a super license?
Yeah. So that they could get into F3.
F1.
F1.
F1 has a super license themselves, and it's mandated by the FIA. But
Okay.
it's done to make sure that the drivers on the grid have enough racing experience to be able to compete at that level.
Which is fair enough, because then it would be dangerous if they didn't.
Yeah, it's done for safety. So
Okay.
that's why they have to amass the points.
Is that the only way
Yeah.
to get into F1? Like, you have to have gone through that route?
Yeah, you have to have had a super license.
Okay. Are you able to get a super license by doing other forms of championships?
You can, but nearly every single driver on that grid currently will have done karting.
I'm assuming that only came in as the sport got popular. I mean, I'm assuming it wasn't a thing when it first
It
started,
wouldn't have been a thing
right?
in the 50s. No,
yeah.
any fucker could jump in a car back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes
Wearing
sense.
a t-shirt and jeans.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, okay.
Now, the good thing is, Formula 4 championships generally come with 12 super license points for the winner, making it by far the most attractive starting point for drivers targeting a career in F1. George Russell specifically won the BRDC F4 title in 2014, while Lando Norris won the British F4 Championship in 2015, before moving up to British F3, now GB3, where he was competitive but didn't win the overall title. But here's the reality check. There might be 20 incredibly talented drivers in a Formula 4 championship, but only one can win it. The rest are spending over £500,000 for the experience and hopefully some development. Here's a fun fact. Some of the current F1 drivers bypassed some of these costs entirely. Lando Norris's dad, Adam, is worth around £205 million from his pension fund business. The Norris family could basically write a cheque for the entire F1 pathway without blinking. The emotional toll on families at this stage is enormous. They've already invested years and hundreds of thousands of pounds in karting, and now they're being asked to essentially mortgage their future on their teenagers' racing career.
It's a bit sad.
Oh.
My reaction to this is just a bit sad.
What do you mean?
Like, that's so... £500,000 is so unnecessarily expensive. Where is that money going? What's the point of making them pay that much and making it so limited? Like, I can't... to be fair, I'm not that familiar with many other sports, but I know, like, in the Olympics, for example, you see a lot of, like, high school kids that are coming from normal families be able to get into the Olympics by doing a sport that they love. But it just
always.
doesn't...
Not always. They
Not
have to train
always.
from a very
Not
young
always.
age.
And there's probably more rich people in the Olympics than there are people who are coming from middle class or lower class families. But I'm saying, like, there are opportunities for them anyway. But this just sounds so unnecessarily expensive and limited to people that are just rich.
Yeah, it's a rich boy sport. There's no
Yeah.
question about it. I mean, like, look at the racetracks. Look at the Louis Vuitton case that comes in the championship trophies. I mean, we're not dealing with carts. These are, this is the pinnacle of it. That's why it's known as F1.
And essentially, this is how it's funded.
Yeah, but it's just, I don't know. It's just a bit sad hearing it.
I'm not saying it's right, and there's obviously been a lot of diversity and inclusion initiatives that have been launched to try and stop this being the case. Because when you look at the F1 Academy, for example, the level they're racing at is F4.
Okay.
So this level, their prize is that the FIA will fund their next season of racing. And when you hear the figures, you realise why that is such a lucrative offer for them.
Yeah.
Mm.
But the point is, most of these kids will get scouted in karting, so that then, if they're picked up by a team, for example, Lewis was picked up by McLaren would have paid that £575,000 for him to go into F3.
Yeah.
Or F4, rather.
I don't know, it just sounds icky.
Yeah,
Anyway.
fair. So we're rolling the dice again.
Whoa! We've landed a 9.
Ooh.
Specifically, a 2 and a 7. Because
Nice.
I can do maths.
7 doesn't exist on a dice.
Shit, I'm a fucking idiot. I was testing you. Now I put on my glasses. I can see that it's a 6 and a 1. Oh my god, no! 6
Oh
and a
wow, you can't do math either.
6 and a 3.
6 and a 3.
Yeah, let's count.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Ooh! We've landed on Formula Regional.
Ooh.
Our driver, Bruno Chorizo, has progressed to Formula Regional, typically the Formula Regional European Championship. The costs are escalating rapidly here in this game. Formula Regional is around £850,000.
Yikes.
So now we're looking at a grand total of about £1.4 million, and that's just the base cost once again, taking the running total to more than £1.4 million, and theoretically just 2 years in a driver's career. In reality, that figure is probably closer to £2 million when we consider the extras required, testing, travel, and coaching, for instance. What's interesting about Formula Regional is the strategy element. Championships in the Middle East, Asia, and Oceania can be useful to drivers to boost their super license points total, especially heading into a new year. Perfect example, Red Bull Junior Arvid Lindblad did precisely that by winning the Formula Regional Oceania Championship in 2025, giving him an extra 18 points towards his super license, which proved enough to surpass the necessary 40-point marker set by the FIA. This shows how the system works for those with proper backing. Red Bull can afford to send their junior drivers to multiple championships to rack up super license points. If you're self-funded, you probably can't afford this strategy. The machinery is also stepping up significantly. The Formula Regional machinery typically spans the gap between Formula 4, where aerodynamics are little more than just aesthetic, and the higher performing F3 machinery into which they'll ideally progress. By this point, our driver is probably 17 to 18 years old, and their family has potentially spent about £2 million on their career. The pressure to succeed is absolutely immense, both financially and emotionally. And here is where we start to see some brutal realities. Alex Albon's family had to sell their house to fund his racing career. His mum gave up her job and they moved to Thailand to the UK with basically nothing. Compare that to Zhou Guanyu, who brought an estimated £30 million in Chinese sponsorship backing to F1.
Damn.
The next role is crucial. Let's see if our driver makes it into the big leagues.
Ooh.
What are we hoping for is?
An 11.
Okay, let's see what I can do. Kiss the dice.
Oh, come on!
A 5 and a 6, how about that? Let's move.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11!
And we have landed at Formula 3. This is huge. Our driver has made it, which means they're now running along the F1 schedule. Formula 3 is often the first time fans will encounter a young driver's name. Our Bruno Chorizo is finally going to get some fans.
His name's in lights!
The costs are now eye-watering, however. Formula 3, £1,150,000. That's over £1 million for a single season.
Why are you shaking your head?
That's just ridiculous. That's so ridiculous.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, we're not denying that.
When you think of like how many advertisers and brands are sponsoring the sport that are already bringing in that amount of money, having that much be the cost to like be part of F3 is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
This is making me very icked up by the sport, I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get it. But please stick with it. We have a podcast.
Yeah, no, I know.
I'm not even explaining next episode. Like, Reed said this was a red flag. She's gone out shopping.
I'm not giving up on the podcast, but the actual reality is like grim.
Okay.
Yeah, but we need to keep doing this podcast so that I can put my child into karting.
I think we can have about 2 million subscribers to this podcast and you won't be able to afford it.
Don't say that!
Yeah, we're never getting a cut if she wants to put her kids into karting.
But there are significant benefits here. A bona fide global competition with races in Australia, the Middle East, and Europe.
Ooh, that makes up for it.
Mr. Worldwide over here with Bruno Chorizo. Costs rise once more with asking figures north of £1 million. However, the opportunity for worldwide exposure and the opportunity to spend time in the F1 paddock, this is where drivers start to get noticed by F1 fans. They're racing on the same weekends as Formula 1, on the same tracks, and their races are broadcast to global audiences. The exposure is invaluable. The super license points are also substantial, with 30 points available to the championship winner. But here's the typical timeline. For most, Formula 3 is a 2-year programme, with the first spent acclimatising to the F3 machinery, and in many instances, all new tracks, all done ahead of contending for the title in their second year. So we're looking at 2 years at over £1 million per year. Naturally, that doubles the cost by the time the young driver is ready to graduate to Formula 2. They'll have spent approaching £5 million once travel, testing and the necessary accessories are accounted for.
Oof. 5 million.
£5 million. That's the cost of getting to the doorstep of Formula 1. And we're not even at F1 yet. We're still a step away. Here's where the family sacrifice stories get really intense. We all know Esteban Ocon, currently racing for Haas. His family was literally homeless at one point during his F3 days. They lived in a caravan, moved around Europe, and his mum worked odd jobs just to keep food on the table. When he finally won the Hungarian Grand Prix in 2021, he said that winning was emotional because of everything that his family had sacrificed. The pressure on these 18 to 19-year-olds is crazy. They're competing at the highest level of junior motorsport, spending time in the F1 paddock, meeting F1 drivers, team principals, but knowing that only a few will make the final step. At just 16 years old, Verstappen was signed by Toro Rosso, straight from Formula 3, completely bypassing F2 and becoming the youngest driver in Formula 1 history. While his peers were grinding through F2, Max was already battling wheel-to-wheel with the sport's elite. While his talent was still raw, Red Bull knew they had someone special on their hands and promoted Verstappen to the main team just a handful of races into the 2016 season, and immediate victory in Spain, setting the scene for the years ahead. But at this level, politics become crucial. It's not just about being fast, it's about impressing the right people, getting media attention, and building relationships that could lead to an F1 opportunity. So let's roll again and keep our fingers crossed that Bruno Chorizo makes it to the final step.
I want to guess a number.
Go on then.
Okay. 8.
Oh, fortunately, we landed a 12.
No! Roll again!
Well, let's just count it out and see where we get to.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We've landed at Formula 2!
Oh my gosh!
And if we landed on 8, we would have been gone to jail. So thank God I didn't roll that, huh? It's my game, I make the rules. We've reached the summit of the junior ladder. Formula 2 is the top of the FIA single-seater pyramid, and the costs reflect that rather devastating status. Formula 2, 1.9 mil, nearly £2 million for just a single season. This is where drivers reach Formula 1 with the skills needed to battle the very best racers in the world. F2 is designed to be the ultimate training ground on the road to Formula 1. Now, let's talk about 2024's F2 champion. He's currently on the grid. Who do you think that is?
2024 F2 champion.
Yes.
Is it someone who's a rookie this year?
No, they've been in the sport 10 years.
She just said they're currently on the grid.
Oh, okay.
Good to know you're paying attention.
Kimi Antonelli?
No.
Oh.
If I do this hand movement, will you get it?
Oh, no.
Nav just sort of put her fist in the air. I don't know what that was meant to. I know the answer.
It's what you do every time you say his name.
Oh.
Bortolato?
Yes!
Gabby the
Great! I didn't realise I put my arm over it, so I did. A bit too intense. Yes, the 2024 F2 champion, Gabriel Bortoleto, or as he's now known by me, Gabby the Great. This Brazilian absolutely dominated the championship, and he's now signed with Kick Sauber for their 2025 F1 entry. But here's the thing. For every Bortoleto who makes it, there are champions who don't.
Ooh.
An example of this is Oscar Piastri, who won Formula Regional, Formula 3 and Formula 2 competitions in consecutive years. His F2 championship was particularly dominant, winning by more than 50 points with 6 wins, 5 poles and 11 podiums from 23 races. But he was forced to spend a year on the sidelines because there was no seat for him at Alpine, who he was affiliated with through his junior years.
Do you know that story?
Yes, Alpine posted on social media that Piastri is going to join them for the 2023 season. And he then had to come on and say, that's actually not true, I'm going to McLaren. And the social media team didn't check beforehand. I listened.
Yeah.
I remember.
Very, very good. Good
Thank
work.
you.
It's not just Piastri. Felipe Drogovic, Teo Porcher, and a host of others are also evidence that success in F2 is not the golden ticket. And on the other hand, Charles Leclerc absolutely dominated the 2017 F2 championship and secured 7 victories and 7 poles while finishing a remarkable 72 points ahead of his nearest rival. Leclerc set a new record with 8 pole positions in a single season, which eclipsed achievements of former champions like Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg. His was the story of a textbook F2 journey. Dominate in your rookie year and get promoted to F1 immediately. The timeline pressure is intense. Like with Formula 3, it's typical a 2-year programme with a learning year followed by one where the driver with realistic ambitions would be expected to contend for the title. And winning the championship isn't even that mandatory. Isaac Hadjar didn't, nor did Liam Lawson or Oliver Behrman.
And it shows.
Oh, you can't do it like that.
Lawson.
I know, I wanted to be shady.
Okay, fair enough. We all have those days. Yet all proved to be very capable Grand Prix drivers. But there is a time limit. Success in a 3rd year carries far less weight given the relative experience advantage to a driver that would have had their competition at that point over their career. The super license situation is sorted though. With a strong championship result also comes an automatic right to an FIA super license, with a total of 40 points up for grabs for the top 3 drivers in the standings. So, let's do the maths, shall we? At a cost of nearly £2 million, and realistically likely more for frontrunners, at the end of a potentially 6-year junior career, a driver could have spent easily £9 million for the chance of reaching Formula 1. £9 million. And that's just for the chance, not even the guarantee, by the way. And when you think about it, there are 20 F2 drivers each year, but typically only 1 to 3 of them make it into Formula One. The emotional toll of this stage is absolutely enormous, and these 19 to 21-year-olds who've dedicated their entire lives to this goal, their families have potentially sacrificed everything financially, and some of them are literally competing against billionaires' sons who treat the sport as rather an expensive hobby.
Lance Stroll.
I don't know what you're talking about. Right, let's roll one more time and see if he gets the ultimate prize. My God, would it be a weird episode if it didn't, and we just ended it there.
Poor Bruno Chorizo.
Right, we are hoping for a 4 to land on Formula One. I'm feeling the pressure.
Should we both kiss the dice this time?
Yeah. Oh!
Ooh.
We rolled a 7.
Oh no!
Ooh. Okay, let's see what happens.
1,
2,
3,
3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
A chance!
Oh!
Whoa.
All right, let's see what it says. Oh my God! F1 team calls. You've been offered a seat.
No way.
This is the moment that every driver's dreams of potentially spending £9 million and 15 years of working towards this goal finally comes through. Our Bruno Chorizo has made it.
I
But
love the idea.
He's
of
very
him.
broke, but he's very happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even getting to Formula One doesn't mean the financial pressure ends. Many drivers still need to bring sponsorship money, even at Formula One level. We've seen drivers like Zhou Guanyu and others who have bought significant financial backing to secure their seats. Now let's talk numbers here. Max Verstappen currently earns around £55 million per year. He's the highest paid F1 driver. But on the other hand, you've got drivers like Logan Sargent, who was reportedly paying Williams around $20 million just for the privilege of racing.
Oh, you can pay them off?
Yeah.
Bribery?
They're called pay drivers.
Yeah.
Oh.
The wealth gap is insane. And the reality is that there are only 20 seats on the grid each year, although we're going to have 22 next year. And vacancies do not come up very often. And when they do, drivers need to be able to snap them up very quickly with a bit of support and a dash of luck. The timing aspect is crucial. A driver might be the most talented in F2, but if there is no seat available, they might have to wait another year, do another expensive F2 season, or even step back from the F1 dream entirely. And remember, a driver's chances of reaching the pinnacle of motorsport, a place on the F1 grid, are not solely dependent on their talent or potential. Much of it hangs on their financial support, nationality, alignment with a team or manufacturer, timing, and money.
Why do they have to do F2 again if there's no available
Just to keep
seat?
the experience of driving in a car, stay in the paddock where they're around team bosses and shit like that.
It isn't like their points
It's
aren't
not
valid
mandatory,
anymore.
no,
Oh, okay.
it's not mandatory, but it's better than just fucking off for a year, coming back, knocking on
Okay.
the door. Meanwhile, other people have now shown their talent and stuff
Yeah.
like that. It's kind of like when you graduate, you want to get a job straight away, because then if you wait a year and then get a job, it's like, well, all of these new fuckers have just graduated and they're like fresh out of uni and
Yeah.
wanting to get a job, you know what I mean?
Okay.
That was what I was going to say. It's almost like if you go for a promotion at a company you're already working for and you don't get it, you carry on working there and say, okay, fine, I'm going to work really hard. The next time this job comes around, I'm going to go for it again with even more experience and stuff under my belt so that they will be picked this
Okay.
time.
So, our Bruno Chorizo has made it. But think about all of the drivers who fell by the wayside. For every driver who makes it to Formula One, there are probably 100 who spent hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of pounds pursuing the same dream.
Let's talk about a dramatic slide I've called the Forgotten Champions.
Ooh.
Drivers who followed the path but didn't make it. The incredibly talented drivers who followed the exact same pathway we've described, spent millions, won championships, but still haven't made it into Formula One. Felipe Drugovich is the latest Formula 2 champion. To find his pathway into Formula One is not as straightforward as he may have hoped. He won F2 in 2022, the highest level of the feeder series, but is still waiting for an F1 opportunity. The Brazilian man has been test driving for Aston Martin, but can't break into the main grid. Teo Porcher succeeded Drugovich as F2 champion, has had no F1 doors open to him. Despite being a Sauber junior and winning the F2 title in 2023, he's been overlooked for F1 seats. The pathway that is supposed to lead to F1 doesn't guarantee anything. Then there's Dan Ticktum. That is a very fun name. I don't care what anyone says. who was a McLaren junior and won multiple junior championships. But Tipton says that he has probably blown my chances now after an incident-strewn junior career. His controversial comments about Nicholas Latifi during a live stream effectively ended his F1 prospects, similar to what happened to Yuri Vips. These aren't mediocre drivers. They are championship winners who followed the exact same pathway we've described and spent a lot of money and still couldn't break through. It shows how brutal and unpredictable the F1 system really is.
It also shows, like, watch what you say on the internet, kids.
Legit. But I think as well, like, the same with any sport or any avenue of being in the public eye nowadays. Your actions away from the thing you're famous for are just as important as the thing you're doing.
Oh, God,
Yeah.
So I feel like that's quite a modern thing nowadays because I don't
Cancel
think...
culture has reached Formula One.
Yeah, I don't think that would have been the case maybe 10 years ago or even 5 years ago.
No.
And I don't think that's a negative thing either. I think in a lot of these cases, things like Yuri Vips saying a racial slur, not cool, don't agree with it, think that's wrong. But I think the point is that if you're looking at how the system works, there is a lot of unspoken rules as well as a huge amount of money, pressure, timing, luck. It's not an easy pathway to get into.
I mean, especially with things like Drive to Survive, where you have the drivers in front of the camera, so people actually get to know them now. They don't just see their cars, so they have more of an image to protect.
But as well, if you think about the huge cost that is associated with this whole journey, a large part of that is going to come from personal sponsorships and stuff like that. You need to be brand safe.
Yeah, that's very true.
And if you're going on Twitch saying racial slurs, guess what? You're no longer brand safe.
Yeah.
No, but I guess the point is that it spans larger than just a love of motorsport.
Yeah.
You have to have every base covered, and there's quite a lot of quite large bases you have to cover.
Yeah.
Even if you get the money together. It might even be that, not brand safe is obviously, that is a necessary thing, but being media trained, there's lots of other areas of it that you have to get sorted to be viable.
For example, I mentioned a few episodes back, it was when we were doing another one of our deep dives, that the commercialization one that I was reading Lewis Hamilton's book. And when he was still really, really young, sort of like he wasn't even in karting at this stage, he was doing like RC racing.
Do you know what that is?
No.
Remote control cars.
Oh, okay.
He was doing it very, very young. There's actually a video online of him doing it, and he's like a toddler.
It might be the video that I'm about to talk about. It's him going on Blue Peter.
Yeah.
Yes. So his dad managed to get him like a spot on Blue Peter to talk about how he had basically beaten like 20-year-olds.
Oh, wow.
In like this remote controlled car championship. And they used it not as an opportunity to be like a cutesy kid on Blue Peter and be like, yeah, I like to drive remote controlled cars, la da 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 da. It was like, no, just put your head down, drive the car, say as little as possible, just show them how good you are at driving a car. Yeah. It's all about exposure. We don't care about like being like a great personality on TV because you don't want to be like a Blue Peter host. You want to be a racer, so show them what you're like with a car. Focus on that.
Yeah.
You know what I don't find very fair is the fact that there's what you said, like 20 drivers in F2 that are trying to get a spot in F1. But then in F1, you have drivers like Lewis Hamilton, Fernando Alonso, Nico Hülkenberg, who have been in the sport for many, many, many years. And they're not going anywhere anytime soon. I'm not saying they're supposed to retire because they deserve that spot. But those positions seem like they're rarely open. I know this season there were 5 rookies, but I think last season there weren't that many rookies, and probably the ones before as well. So it doesn't seem fair that they're like competing on a year-on-year basis in F2 when there might just be like 1 or 2 seats open in F1.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, like someone like Fernando Alonso, like he's retired and then came out of retirement. You know, it comes down to the team decision at the end of the day. Like how we were talking about Cadillac, they might decide to go for an experienced driver and a rookie, in which case someone like Bottas would be good. Whereas Mercedes knew that they wanted Kimi Antonelli, a rookie, in their team, so they gave that position to him and then made Bottas their reserve driver. Like, teams will have that choice. So by doing so, then he could go to that team and they can have the experience of having someone who's won races and been part of F1 before, while also having the opportunity to bring someone completely new to the grid and have a rookie.
Yeah.
So there are opportunities, and I get that, you know, it's one of those things where they should leave. But like if Hülkenberg had left ages ago and never came back, he wouldn't have got that podium in the UK.
That's my point. Like, I don't think that they should leave, but I think there should be I don't know, maybe if there's like a bit more transparency of like how many teams are planning to recruit rookies in the next year, and then people could know that this is the time that they should be in F2 and being part of it. Because if it's like they're going through that whole stage, they're spending millions and millions of pounds, and they might not get a spot for another like 4 years because there's no spot open in any of the teams. It just doesn't seem fair.
Yeah, but a lot of them will also take positions as reserve drivers and sim racers and testers and stuff for teams. Like when Red Bull dropped Alex Albon, he didn't go straight into another team. He spent a year as their reserve driver and was doing like a lot of sim testing for them. So he had a whole year out of racing before he was then poached over to Williams, and Red Bull released him so that he could go to Williams.
But that's again getting someone who's already like an experienced driver and not a rookie.
Yeah, but as much as Red Bull can be quite brutal with their driver lineups, if you look at the current grid, a lot of the drivers that we all love watching racing have come from a junior Red Bull program.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got Carlos Sainz, Pierre Gasly, Alex Albon, Max Verstappen, Isaac Hadjar, Liam Lawson. They've all come from Red Bull.
Yeah.
So I think saying like that they should have like a heads up, like a LinkedIn post, like we're going to hire it. I think from you watching Formula One in just this year, you can see that there is no guarantee. This is the problem with the sport, but it's also the joy of the sport is that it's very unpredictable. And you know, for example, Nick de Vries got dropped after 10 races. Liam Lawson got dropped after 2. Yeah. You know, you don't know how drivers are going to fare. And yes, you want to have rookies in the sport. You also want good drivers in the sport. Yeah. You want the best that you can get.
You don't want to just watch people crashing every single race and being a bit...
Yeah, that's true.
And sometimes you have to watch and see, like, the good ones will swim. The ones that aren't up to it will sink. And F2, F3, F4 is not F1. It's a very different environment.
And Ollie Behrman, for example, we first saw him in F1 when he replaced Carlos Sainz when he had appendicitis. That was his opportunity to show, like, I am good. I am not just F2 good, I am F1 good. And he did. And now he got a seat. So there is still a part of it where it's like, you have to prove yourself as well, which is why so many of these younger junior drivers then come in and do practice sessions. Like, the teams will give them an opportunity on the race calendar to drive in the practice sessions to see what they're like.
Having this background changes my whole argument on if sister teams should be allowed in the sport.
Oh, so now you're like all for it.
Yeah, because I was against it before, because I'm like, why is Racing Bulls a team?
Yeah.
Because it seems like it's just giving an advantage to Red Bull, because they'll never have someone in Racing Bulls, you know, win over someone in Red Bull, although, you know, they've outperformed Yuki Tsunoda many times. But now I'm like, oh, okay, if that's giving an extra place for the rookies, for the people who are paying this much money to be in the sport to actually be on track, that makes me root for them.
Yeah. The reason why the drivers that go from Racing Bulls to the Red Bull car never do as well is because the Racing Bulls car is so much easier to drive because it is made for a junior driver. It's made for someone. It's like a car with... You know, it's like a bike with stabilizers on it. It's made to be easy. It's made to be the learning car that you drive when you're trying to get into F1 and you're trying to make it big time in F1 and move up to the big team, which is why then you see people like Lawson, like Tsunoda, struggling when they get to that Red Bull car because it's nothing like the nice, easy one that they've just had. But to your point, this is why I respect Daniel Ricciardo for saying, actually, you know what? I don't think I want to be racing anymore. I don't think that I can see a gap and still think I can go for it. I don't think that I still have that courage to break so late. I don't think that I'm actually made for this anymore. That's why I respect it, because it opened up the seat for someone else who was so desperate for it.
Well, on top of that, selfishly, I mean, even if you're not scoring points, winning races, getting podiums, if you're someone that has been racing your whole life and that's all you've ever known and you love it, you love the adrenaline of it, you love seeing the world, having fans, being able to go off and do fun excursions, have holidays and this ridiculous fucking money that you get from it, why the fuck would you give it up?
Yeah.
If no one's expecting you to, and you're performing well and you're getting contracts and you're getting contract extensions, and even if you're driving for somewhere like Sauber, this this year. Nico Hulkenberg has finished P5 this year and also P3 and got himself a podium. So those were added extras.
Yeah.
But if you're living the dream, as much as it's like, oh, come on, let the young guys go, you definitely would have a thing of like, whoa, I paid my fucking dues and I'm here now. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's one of those things where people think when they're not attuned to the sport or know much about it, but it is fine to think this, because I thought this when I first started watching. It's like, you don't score any points, you don't win the thing. Why the fuck are you here? Why is the team here? But when you learn the inner workings of it, those drivers have had to fight tooth and nail to get where they are. They are going to stay there as long as they can.
Yeah, that's fair. I can see that.
On a similar vein to what we've spoken about, let's talk about the cash-coloured elephant in the room, the wealth divide on the current F1 grid.
I really do paint a whole picture with words there, don't I?
You really do.
Damn.
Cash-coloured elephant in the room, I like it. At the top, you've got, obviously...
Are we going from richest?
Yeah.
Max Verstappen.
No.
Oh.
Lance Stroll, who's
yes.
And she points at yes.
I thought you meant...
I was testing you.
Yes, you are correct.
I thought you meant who's getting paid the most.
So at the top you've got Lance Stroll, whose
Obviously,
dad, Lawrence, is worth £3.8 billion and is a prominent Canadian businessman. He is a part owner and executive chairman of Aston Martin, as well as the owner of the Aston Martin F1 team. It's literally the most extreme example possible, your dad owning the team you drive for. And yet here we are, it is happening.
Nepo baby.
Yup. And then there's Lando Norris. His dad, Adam, is worth around £205 million from his pension fund business. Jack Doohan, as we said earlier, grew up on the Gold Coast with Michael Schumacher as a neighbour, and his dad is a motorcycle legend, Mick Doohan. While Max Verstappen grew up in an environment perfectly suited for motorsport, being the son of Jos Verstappen, a Formula F1 driver himself, and Sophie Marie Kumpman, a former karting champion. He started karting at just the age of 4 under his father's guidance. While Max is supremely fast and very talented, having an ex-F1 driver as a father provided invaluable connections and expertise that money just can't buy. And then you have the incredible stories of the drivers who made it against all odds. Lewis Hamilton's dad, Anthony, as we said, worked 4 jobs. Esteban Ocon's family lived in a caravan, and Alex Albon's family sold their house. What's fascinating is that some of the wealthiest drivers on the grid today are the ones who came from nothing. Lewis Hamilton is now worth around £350 million, making him the richest active F1 driver. And let's not forget the pay drivers versus talent debate. Zhou Guanyu reportedly bought £30 million in Chinese sponsorship, but he's also genuinely quick. Sometimes money opens the door, but talent is what keeps you there.
So I have to bring something up. So, not to sound big-headed, but we sort of have people that enjoy these and even comment about it. So thank you to the lovely person that commented about wanting to learn more about this in this deep dive. We love and appreciate you. But this person asked, can we really say that they have the best 20 drivers if there is a financial barrier from the beginning? This is something that they've talked about in F1 Academy as well, on how trying to make money can be seen as a distraction to racing.
I didn't like that storyline in F1 Academy. I thought
From
it was...
Bianca. So what this person's talking about is Bianca, who was the McLaren F1 Academy driver. She has a very strong social media presence. She's also stunning. Sorry. Okay, fine. Not to objectify her, but she's stunning. And she was very conscious about making sure that whatever happened to her racing career, she needed to make sure that she had an online presence and a fandom separate to that, so that it could keep her where she was and hopefully propel her forward as well if she became a household name within Formula One Academy and beyond.
And look at us now talking about her.
Exactly. It did work. But the question that the problem that she had was that her performance coach and engineer was like, stop it. Focus on racing. Stop focusing on everything else, all the noise. You should be cutting that out and just focus on racing.
Even said that that's why she wasn't performing well, is because she cared too much about social media and doing great online.
Yes. But can we say, with the current system and pathway that we have in place within getting to Formula One, can we really say, hands on heart, that we have the best 20 drivers? Or can we say that we have the luckiest, most hard-working drivers, or just the luckiest drivers?
Luckiest and richest.
Oh.
Yeah. I think probably a certain percentage, like Lewis Hamilton, are the ones that are genuinely talented and they got that sponsorship and being part of the drivers program that was able to pay for them to get into the sport. Those are like proper talent. You can say it's just based on talent. And I think for a lot of them, it's probably just a money thing. Not to say they're bad drivers. They're definitely good drivers, but you definitely can't say those are the best 20.
I think we've got a mix. I think you've got some drivers who have worked incredibly, incredibly hard and against all odds have managed to make it. And that is down to their own extremely impressive talent and also a lot of sacrifice from family, because at the end of the day, getting into Formula One isn't a solo thing. You need a team, and that team is also your family and your community and stuff like that. But I think there are a lot of drivers who have paid to get into Formula One, and I think a lot of it, their talent has kept them there.
Yeah.
But I don't think we can deny the fact that they have paid to get there. Realistically, if Lance Stroll's dad didn't own Aston Martin, he would not be driving in F1. Frankly, his talent hasn't kept him in Formula One. His dad has.
Yeah, I mean, Stroll has won championships in lower formulas and big championships too. So it's not just that he's had, you know, a winless streak and there's just been back alley dealings with his dad.
Yeah.
However, Claire Williams, who was the daughter of Frank Williams, who was the creator and owner of Williams Racing, they were a very small team, obviously, and they were just struggling financially, especially over COVID and everything. And they eventually had to sell, which they have done now. But Claire Williams had to take on a pay driver. And even when she did have drivers that she was paying, it was a fraction of the cost of most other drivers. And she had to take on Lance Stroll because of the fact that his father was able to pay them to let him race. So pay drivers do exist. And as long as pay drivers exist, you're never going to have the best potential because that team isn't taking you on because of your talent and how quick you can be.
Yeah, it's a sacrifice.
Yeah, you're taking on that driver because you know that it will be able to continue to keep your team financially viable.
I would counter that argument and say that there have been Red Bull drivers who have been sacked for far less than what
I agree.
Stroll has done. So I think reasonably we can say that he has won in the past, but if he was not affiliated with Lawrence Stroll and therefore not the son of the owner of the team, he wouldn't be racing anymore.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I also think it's not just a paid drivers thing. The way I see it is like, if you're watching football, if you're a fan of football, and you know, you look at the screen and you want to become a famous footballer when you grow up, it's not hard to get into football. You know, you can learn that in school. You can compete in places and then you can get poached and you can end up becoming a proper famous footballer. Like it's
called scouted, but
it's
yeah.
scouted, yes.
Poached! That sounds much more menacing than being scouted.
You can get scouted. But if you're watching F1, you can't easily say like, I want to become an F1 driver when I grow up, unless you have the money to do that. So there's probably so many people that could be amazing drivers if they tried, but their families aren't able, even the karting step, they might not be able to afford that. So I think you'll never be able to say, you know, you have the best 20 drivers or 22 drivers on the grid, because the sport isn't accessible to just anyone.
Which I think is why, especially with junior racers, F1 teams want to take on someone that can change the sport for the better, like the greats have, like the Lewis Hamiltons have, like the Verstappens have, like the Oscar Piastris might do in the future. And essentially there's a lot of rookies that are very great drivers. I know that on the commentary they called Gasly a Red Bull, one of the Red Bull rejects, which I thought was rather rude, but I also got exactly what he was talking about. Gasly's a great driver.
Yeah.
You know, he's got a great reputation. He was demoted from the top seat and went back down to what was then AlphaTauri and is now obviously racing for Alpine. It can be very ruthless out there. However, saying that it's inaccessible, it is. But it's also always been like that.
Can I play devil's avocado?
You always do, so you might as well.
Is it not the same with anything? Like, I could, in theory, be the greatest prime minister that this country has ever seen, but my parents couldn't afford to put me in private school and send me to, you know, the top universities, and therefore I'm not. But I could have been.
Yeah, but it's like if and or buts are candies and nuts, we'll all have a happy Christmas. It's like, it's not the same thing. I think with something in terms of sport, I would say darts, for example. Look at Luke Littler. He's a very normal Don. He's not someone that's come from a massive money, and I'm sure there would have been a lot of talent, hard work, sacrifice put into his being this great darts player. But I feel like the sport in darts is a very different culture to that of Formula One.
Same with boxing. You need access to a good pub.
Well, yeah, that's my point. My point is that it's easy for you to buy some darts and a dartboard. It's not easy for you to get yourself a Formula One car and race that round the streets of Chertsey or wherever the hell. So I think the similar sort of thing with like boxing, for example. It's very accessible. There are some sports that have more of a working class background of people that participate in it. Yeah. And then you have things like F1 or polo or what other things you have. Tennis, with
the Williams sisters.
Exactly. Where there are greats that come through that completely defy the odds, but the pathway set by that sport means that they really do have to defy the fucking odds.
Yeah.
So that's just the way it is. I don't agree with it, but that is how it is. It's always been a rich boy sport, and that's the exact reason why people say it.
But then, the women that are in F1 Academy, what are they working towards?
Getting into F1.
If the issue is around money and sponsorships, and drivers need to get in sponsorships to be able to make it in the sport, or most of them need to get in those sponsorships, most brands or sponsors aren't going to be the first to invest in a woman driver because there's a lot of risks. I'm not saying that's correct, and I'm not saying they're not talented and can't compete with the men on the grid. I very much think they can. From an image perspective and how much money that they're putting into it and how much they're investing, it's too much of a risk to be the first ones to bring in a woman.
Thank you for asking that, and you've queued us up very nicely.
Ooh!
For part 2.
This wasn't scripted.
Oh. So we will answer your question in a week.
Oh, nice.
Stay tuned, Grand Pricksters. It's coming, but we haven't done the research yet.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
So there you have it, the brutal reality of Formula One and its development pathway. We followed our Bruno Chorizo from karting at the age of 6 to now reaching Formula One at the age of 20 to 22. He's grown up so fast.
My God, I'm so
Please
proud of
listen
that
to
boy.
this podcast so we can pay off how much money we spent on Bruno Chorizo getting into F1.
Yes, he has become a financial burden.
Yes.
And that financial burden
doesn't make any sense.
We're £9 million down now.
Over 15 years. And you know what? The financial toll is nothing compared to the emotional toll. We're falling apart.
Yes, and group therapy is not helping.
It's 32 degrees in here and we can't afford to turn on the fan.
Yeah, but Bruno Chorizo's downstairs doing some sim racing.
The audacity. And you know what? There's no guarantee that he'll ever actually win a Formula One championship.
It's true.
What's particularly striking is how early the financial pressures began. We're talking about 6-year-olds whose families are already making 6-figure commitments. Lewis Hamilton's dad working 4 jobs when Lewis was still in primary school. And the political aspect of it was also crucial. A host of other factors involved, including nationality, alignment with a team or manufacturer, timing and money. It's not just about being the fastest driver. Don't we know it? Our Bruno is the fastest, and yet so many barriers. Now, listeners, this explains why every F1 driver you see on the TV is either incredibly talented and incredibly lucky, or very rich. Our Bruno is talented and lucky. We are poor. There is literally no middle ground. It also explains why we see certain nationalities and backgrounds represented more heavily in F1. The financial barriers are so high that they exclude many potentially talented drivers who simply can't afford the journey. And, like I said, Reem has queued us up very, very nicely for part 2, which will be out in a week's time, where we will discuss the rise of junior programs, where they came from and why they are so significant, political manoeuvring behind the scenes, such as seat blocking, mid-season swaps and contracts, the tension between raw talent and sponsorship deals, and the rise of diversity initiatives such as F1 Academy, and ongoing criticism of access. If you like this episode, make sure you give us a follow on our socials. Please are on...
Please do it!
We need the money for Bruno.
For fuck's sake.
We are on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and X. And if you like this episode, give it a good rating. Leave a comment on Spotify. We will reply.
Don't give us a good rating. Give us the best bloody rating you can give us.
Oh yeah, give us a top rating. And share it with a friend. Subscribe. Do all of the good things that you know you can do. And we've got a staggering amount of followers, and we are very, very grateful for each and every one of you, the ones who watch and listen and, you know, consume our media passively, and the ones who actually engage with us. We love to see it.
And if you ever have a question about F1 and you have a question about one of the deep dives, feel free to comment on socials because we are answering them.
Yeah.
We are. And this is a lot of fun to do. We're three best friends trying our best, but it's lovely to get messages and to see you guys engaging. So thank you to those that are listening.
We'll see you next week.
See you later!
Bye!